wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked, wicked. Waste time on massive. Wicked, wicked. Jungle is massive. Wicked. Yo, 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 yo. Waste time on massive. Everywhere we go. Waste time on massive. Tell them how we got this skill. Waste time on massive. Everywhere we go. Waste time on massive. Everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. Waste time on massive.
United.
Right, amateur. Bloody hell. You can tell Nick ain't here. Evening all.
We're on time-ish.
We're on time-ish. It's myself and John, and later on we're going to be joined by Father Jack, Mike Brennan, who ain't been on for quite some time. He's going to join us in about half hour. Nick's having a night off because he's ranted himself out this week, isn't he? I mean, he's literally exhausted. He's worn his voice out.
I think he's in hiding as well, no?
Well, what's he done? Who's after him?
Well, we don't want to go too much into detail, do we? But he's probably in hiding a little bit, you know what I mean? He's probably out there now trying to help us build subs the organic way, that's all I'd say.
That is probably what he's trying to do. Yeah. He's having high-level meetings as we speak.
High-level meetings, that's it.
Yeah, with very important people. So welcome everyone. This is a massive week for us. As you know, it is the week of the final. That's all that's going to be dominating our minds tonight. Going to talk about the final in detail. So tickets, fan zones, the opposition. What we think our team's going to be, how we think the game's going to go, all that sort of stuff. Then we'll once we've done that, we'll move on and talk about brush across some of the stories this week because we don't want to bring a negative slant into this show. We want to be positive and upbeat. And we'll talk about go on, John.
Well, you can only be as positive as the club allow you to be.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean,
the thing is about this week, just as a brief.
Yeah.
Once again, the club's decisions and the marketing department's decisions just baffle me. I mean, how these are businessmen as a club and everyone around the club, how they're successful in their jobs, I will never know with some of the decisions they make. I think it proves they're not football people once more.
I know what you mean. There's just so many loose lips, and they just don't consider the consequences, do they? Or they do consider the consequences, and this is really carefully calculated. I don't know, but anyway.
Hang on. Black Country Hammer don't like the music.
No, we're sticking with this music. That was the last time you're going to hear that music, unless we win. In which case, we're going to put it on one more time when we have the end of season award show. Because what's going to happen after we've done this tonight is we're going to win that cup on Wednesday. And then we're going to arrange for some beers around Andy Miles' house. And we're going to go around there, me, John, Nick, Nigel. And we're going to have a night on the beers, take over Andy's bar. We're going to do a live stream from there. And we're going to do end of season awards. That'd be brilliant. And if we win, it'll be brilliant. And if we don't win, it'll still be brilliant. But Wednesday won't be brilliant, no. We got the news. I mean, Bowen's contract looks like that is in a bit of jeopardy as well. In a similar way, but not quite the same to Declan Rice. Other news, Emerson, if he plays, Emerson is on for the triple, like Mourinho. This could be, the only missing European trophy that he ain't won. He's won the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Super Cup.
Yeah, I didn't know the Super Cup, but I knew he'd obviously with Chelsea he'd won the Champions League and the Europa League. Yeah, I didn't know the Super Cup. I think I was looking at it and I was talking to someone and they said, I think the only other player still playing who could possibly get the triple is, remember the Arsenal player, Mkhitaryan or something, whatever his name is?
Oh, yeah.
I think there's one he hasn't won. I can't think what it is because he won one with Man U and he must have won one somewhere else with...
Didn't win it with Arsenal, no, did he? Didn't win it with Arsenal.
No, he doesn't.
And talking of Arsenal, Deck, he's being linked very heavily today with Bayern, but, ex-WHC employee, WHUFC employee, I think that's his name, isn't it? He came out tonight and said, no, there's no truth in that. And the club are expecting bids from Man U and Man City as well. They've had no bids so far, but they're expecting bids from all four clubs and possibly others as well. So it could turn into a bidding war, much to the dislike of Arsenal, and that's to my liking.
Yeah. Zahid Ali says, where's the Mona? I'm assuming he means Nick. I don't know if,
He probably is. And then he can't be talking about anyone else, can he?
Yeah. We've got no phone in tonight, people, just to know, because Nick's the one with the software. The software's at Nick's house to do the phone calls. Unfortunately, because Nick's thrown a sickie, we can't take phone-in. So we do apologise. I know a lot of you love that, but we're going to interact with the chat as much as we can. So, you know, when we get onto various subjects, if you've got questions, post them in there and we'll try and answer as many as we can. So.
Yeah, it's going to be, because there's fewer of us tonight. We can pay much more attention to your lovely comments. And Paul Mitchell, potentially from Monaco, the new director of football. We're going to touch on that, Nobles, mate, and why the orange kit has now tripled in price. Bloody hell, can't stand that kit. But anyway, look, on with the show. Couple of things. So let's talk about the final. The final is the big thing on all of our minds. And first of all, tickets. And this is just a personal experience. And it's one that really gets on my tits a little bit, I've got to be honest. I'm going out to Prague, and I'm going to stand and watch it in the fan zone with my cousin Paul. Neither of us has got tickets. We're both season ticket holders at West Ham. I go to lots of away games as well, but I tend to use other people's tickets, so I didn't have enough points. If I'd got all the points for the away games for the last couple of years, I'd probably be on 40 odd. Well, I would be, but I didn't. But anyway, here's what it is. Good luck to the people that have got the tickets. But there is one thing that has really rubbed me up the wrong way, and that is getting a phone call this morning and asking if I want to buy a ticket for a grand, and there was another one for 1,500 quid as well. And I was thinking along these lines of what I just explained. Face value of that ticket's 50 quid. Why should I, as a season ticket holder, right, be paying some other season ticket holder or whoever 20 times the face value for a ticket? I ain't going to do it. It's 90 minutes of football. I'm in Prague anyway. I'm going to have a good time. Don't get one ticket now. I'd only take a ticket now if I could get one for my cousin as well. Just going to go and enjoy it. But yeah, there's a lot of that going around, isn't there, John? There's a lot of tickets floating around for ridiculous money.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go over there without a ticket purely because I've got my boy, 12 years old. He wants to watch this final with me. It'd probably be once in a lifetime, I'd imagine, if my career as a West Ham fan's anything to go by. But yeah, I mean, look, ticket touting or whatever you called it has always gone on, but it does leave a sour taste in your mouth when the person or persons trying to get rid of it to you for £1,000. Are supposedly West Ham fans. I mean, look, I understand it to some extent. And look, tough times are tough and people may need the money. I get that. But I mean, as you say, over £1,000, a lot of money in it. But I'm sure there's people that have paid it because, as we said, it's once in a lifetime. But, everyone's different.
Listen, I'm sure they have paid it. But the thing is with me is it's just a point of principle. I've passed on many tickets over the years. I've never charged above face value for a ticket ever. Not to a West Ham fan. Wouldn't do it. No. So it leaves a bad taste in the mouth when someone does it to me, and yeah, I'm not that desperate to go. I'm going to be. I think
the thing is because obviously we said that the apparently the players, so everyone in the squad was offered 15 tickets. That's what we heard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
14.
So
14
obviously
players got 14 each apparently.
So the rumours, there's rumours flying around. But as a player, if you couldn't get rid of 15, would you take 15 and give them away to somebody who could sell them? What would you do as a player? How does that work? I mean, surely as a player, you have to account for the tickets you take.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to go into this, but the players, they get 14 tickets. They just get given 14 tickets, and that's for their friends and family and stuff like that, right? And look, I'm not going to say numbers or anything, but they also had an option to get some more tickets. And let's just say a lot of those tickets have found their way to touts, I think, right? So anyway, again, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. No. I'm just saying that is the story that's out there, and I'm not going to get in any way dive into the detail on it. But that's why hearing these stories over the weekend left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth, I have to admit. So I've had to back away from that and think, you block it out of my mind. So fuck it, who cares? Don't want a ticket. I'm just going to go sit in the fan zone with 10,000 other West Ham, and I'll be happy, right? I'll be happy.
I think that is the next best thing. And as you said earlier, you could go and buy yourself a ticket. Yeah. But you'd be going into the stadium, and possibly standing on your own with people you don't know. Now, I know you'll get to know them, but, you'd rather be standing there with your cousin Paul, wouldn't you? So,
of course I would. Me and Paul, we're both the same age. We've been going to football together since 1976. Yeah. God knows how much we've spent on watching West Ham. I still stand next to him. We've got season tickets in the Bobby Moore Lower. You know, we had season tickets in the old Bobby Moore Lower from when it was built in 1993, the same seats with our dads and stuff like that. It's been a family tradition. So for me, this is the best way to watch a football game.
But wasn't we discussing earlier about the way that the tickets have gone? You know, first dibs, bond holders, and such. I mean,
I hate that. I hate that. And you know how it works with away tickets, right? There's this little club, and if you're not in it, you ain't getting in it, right? First of all, it started with the bond holders. Now the bond holders, they get first dibs. I think they get 2 tickets or something like that. I don't know. Might be 1, might be 2, but they get first call on any ticket that goes on sale, whether they buy a season ticket or not, whether they own a current season ticket or not. If they own a bond, they get first choice, and I think that is nonsense, and I think they should pay them their bond money back and cancel all those bonds. That was another era, right? And then the next thing is the away season tickets. Now the club are bringing to end the away season ticket scheme, and that's the sort of thing where I've been applying for an away season ticket for years.
Are they doing away with it?
They're doing away with it. They announced the other day they're doing away with it. They're taking no more away season tickets. They're going to let it just die its own death. You know, literally, as people die and as people give it up, they're not renewing them. So there's 700 at the moment. Going to wait for that to just fall. Again, I think, and sorry if you're an away season ticket holder, but the thing is, if you go to every game, this won't affect you anyway. I'm talking about, you know, if it's based on points, and you go to all the games, you're going to have those points and you're going to be fine. And I have no issue with people that go to the games, right? And there's a lot of people like Dodsey. He goes up and down the country. You know, he lives right down in the southwest near Cornwall. Loves a pasty, and he goes everywhere. He follows West Ham all around the country. He's been to 61 games this year, right? And there are a lot of people like him who go to every single game. I'm not targeting this at them.
No.
I'm targeting this at people who, on a regular basis, they've got the right to buy a ticket because they've got points, or they've got an away season ticket. They buy the tickets, they sell them on to maintain the points, because that is basically blocking anybody else from getting into that little club, right?
No. But it is, but look, and you don't want to target the wrong people and come across. It don't want to come across as sour grapes. But I've always said, I've always said that the away season ticket, for me personally, the away season ticket thing and the way they do away tickets is wrong, because it doesn't allow. And people will go, well, why have you got that so few points then? I mean, I've had a season ticket at West Ham since 1992, right? And you know, I'm only 44. My boy's had a season ticket 7 years already. He's 12.
Yeah.
I've been as many as away games as I can. But the problem is, it's as I can. It's not that I haven't tried to get away season tickets. And I'm a little bit different to you. I've said to you in the past, I could have gone to an away match. And I'm not blaming the person that day that can't go, because things do happen. But I just don't like buying someone else's ticket and they get the points. It really frustrates me. I mean, how the fuck am I going to get priority or get up the list? I'm really, you know...
You can't do it. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. Let me tell you my experience, right? This year, I started the season. I ended last season on 23, 24 points, right? Might have been 25, can't remember. And then I start this season on 11, right? Then I go to loads of European games. I go to every cup game I can get my hand on, every away game I can get my hand on. I end up with 23. And, you know, I'm just outside what you need to get a ticket for the final. But this ain't about the final. This is the fact that I'm just telling you, I ended last season on 25. I bought every ticket I could. I've ended up on 23 this year, right? I went to 8 games this year away league games, and I bought a lot of those tickets from other people, right? Because I can't buy them myself. You think I've got a chance of getting an away ticket at Tottenham or Arsenal or anywhere like that? No chance, right? So of course I would buy them if I could. So I end up buying the far ones from people who don't want to travel at that time or something like that. So I end up driving down to Southampton or up to Manchester or up to Liverpool or something like that. Anyway, I get no tickets and no credit for those points. That's my point. So had I got those points from last year, because there was 10 games where I bought tickets from other people last year, 8 from this year, that's 18 points on top of me, 23. I would have been on 41 points.
Mate.
That's my point. I think you should be able to, if you buy a ticket from someone else, you know, as long as you're a West Ham supporter and a registered West Ham supporter, you should be able to register and get points for it.
Yeah, but that's all that. But the reason the club don't let you do that is because they want to be involved some way, and they'd want to take a cut of it, like you do when you sell if you have to sell your home season ticket back to the club if you can't go to a game. It's another thing I refuse to do because they give you fucking club points. You have to spend I would never sell
John,
my game. If I can't go, I'll give them a ticket to someone.
John, the club love a fee, right? I'll give them a tenner.
Yeah.
You give me the points, I'll give you a tenner,
yeah.
you give me the points. Yeah, no problem.
Hang on a minute. What the fuck's going on here? Virgil only 44 must have been a hell of a paper round. Dan Gray, mate. Watch your back, son. Watch your back. Nick's in the chat, calls him mayhem. Can I just quickly? This is my mate, Mannix Rooney. He's not a film star, even though he's got a name like a Hollywood star. But he's a top coach. If anyone needs a coach for their boy, top coach. What's this one say? Nick's in the chat, calls him mayhem. Look, Virgil was born with crow's feet. All right, mate.
I like Paul Sullivan's comment there because
this is
what I used to do. I remember when me and my cousin Paul, again, because we used to go to away games all the time, I got up one Saturday morning, I thought, I fancy going to football. And I called Paul up and said, do you want to go? It's a bit late, I know, but do you want to go? And then we got to, I don't know where it was, about Watford Gap. We got there about 11:30, and we realised there was no way we were getting to Newcastle for 3 o'clock. But the fact is, had we left earlier, we could have gone up there and we could have done it.
Mate, I know. The thing is, right, Gal, I know it ain't going to suit a lot of our, it wouldn't suit someone like Dodsey, for example, and a lot of our fans. But the thing is, I used to love, like in an FA Cup game, you'd get the draw for the FA Cup on the Sunday night or something, let's say, or Saturday and Sunday night. And on the Monday, Tuesday morning, you'd go down to Upton Park and queue up. I used to love that. Now, I know that sounds selfish because obviously people like Dodsey, a home game for him is an away game almost because it's so far. But so I do appreciate that. But to me, there was nothing better than that. Just the whole build up of it was going to get your ticket, queuing up for your ticket, looking forward to the game.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I don't agree with the queuing up bit, but I do agree with the paying on the day.
Because you're lazy.
Well, look, I used to pay on the day in the North Bank, right? I used to just turn up with my money and get in. That's how I went to football until I was forced to buy a season ticket in 92. Yeah, my first season ticket was in 92. It was in a different place, right? Yeah. But yeah, and then 93, it all kind of went season ticket-y, didn't it? It's not, you couldn't really guarantee a seat otherwise. So, but then I used to take myself off to other grounds as well. I remember, I had a free afternoon. I was quite young. I went down to White Lane. I went down to Highbury and things like that. I used to do that in the early 80s.
Yeah, mate. I used to love the coach trips away and all that. And I'd love nothing more than going away games with Freddie, but I just begrudge. I've done it a couple of times with him, don't get me wrong, but I just begrudge allowing someone else to benefit, if you like. But I suppose I'm benefiting in a way, and I.
Yeah. But look, don't interpret this as me being bitter because I'm definitely not bitter. I'm only bitter with the people who have sold those tickets. The people who are going, I love you and enjoy the game. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Good luck to you.
At the end of the day, you could pay £1,000. Let's not be funny.
Of course I could, of course
you could pay the £1,000 ticket. A lot of people could, but it's whether or not you think you're being ripped off at the end of the day, isn't it?
You know what I did, John? I worked it out how much per minute that would be. And the guy that was offering me, not necessarily the grand one, that works out to a tenner a minute, right? That's too much. It's more than a tenner a minute. And then you're talking, you're talking, 1,500. You're talking over 15 quid a minute. Fucking hell! I'd be. Imagine if they're time wasters, Fiorentina. I'd be doing me pieces in the stands, wouldn't I? I had my calculator out.
Question to you is: if we had a different manager to Moyes, would it be more prevalent for you to pay £1,000 because those 15 minutes would be more exciting?
Nah. Football ain't worth that. Football ain't worth that. I'll tell you what, right? There's an exception. There's an exception, right? If West Ham were playing in, I don't know, an FA Cup final at Wembley, I might spend £1,000 on that, right? If West Ham are playing in a Champions League final somewhere, I might spend £1,000 on that. But I wouldn't spend it on the Conference League in a little stadium in Prague, and I wouldn't spend it on a League Cup final.
Why though?
Well, look, the same rules should apply, but it's just like one of those. Yeah, it's one of those things. I've kind of put myself in this situation. I'm probably talking rubbish. I probably wouldn't spend £1,000 on those tickets.
At the end of the day,
but it feels like I would, but I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. Yeah.
Ultimately, the people to blame are UEFA, right?
Yeah,
because they've created this competition, which they don't want to be seen as a third-rate tin pot competition. But with all due respect to the Prague team that we're playing this final in, they've put it in a tin pot stadium. You cannot envisage any European final, when you get to the final, generally the teams will be fairly big teams. Us and Fiorentina could have sold 40,000 each. Last season, Roma and Feyenoord obviously most definitely could have sold 40,000 each. The problem is they're using third-rate grounds to try and promote this tournament. And in the end, it's just going to, at the end of the day, they're creating more problems for themselves, in my opinion.
No, bang on.
It could have been sold out at Wembley or the San Siro or somewhere huge, you know what I mean?
They're not going to make this mistake again. I mean, it's in Athens in a 30,000-seater stadium next year. So 30,000.
Oh, so it's growing.
It's staying big, but it's bigger. Well, I would have got a ticket to that, right?
So would I. I would have.
Yeah, you would have.
I would have.
I'm just going to go back and talk about, as you would have seen, if you're going out there, you would have been looking for news. And I covered this last week, and I was almost right about the fan zones. This has now been confirmed. If you've seen it in the media, and if you saw what I showed you last week, it's almost the same. The West Ham fan zone under the West Ham badge up there is in Letna Park, which just below. It's actually north of the park, and it's at a high point, so it overlooks the river and the rooftops of the city opposite the town, opposite the old town. So it's supposed to be really beautiful up there. They've got somewhere to sell beer. They got food. They got big screens. They got also. There was a thing earlier in the week about will they have screens? Well, yeah, they will. And for you wondering where that is, if you just go across, as you can see, just across the bridge there is the old town and the old town square. Fiorentina will be up there at the top in the exhibition area or something, whatever it's called. So
you didn't on the map. You didn't tell people where the prostitutes were. Sorry.
I know the time. Right, so the final itself is it's going to be tough, and I think we've all we've had been taking a bit of interest in Fiorentina more than I'd like to. You have as well, John. I think it's clear to say that they look like a team that are going to play a high press. They're going to go after us. They're going to get forward, but they are vulnerable defensively. Yeah,
I mean. We watched the game the other day, didn't we? And Nick was a little bit more fearful than me, but there's nothing to fear. It's a one-off game final. Whoever we were playing, we shouldn't be fearing them because there's nothing to lose, really, is there? The problem is, look, I'm going to go back to the same old topic, and Nick's not even here. The problem is, we know that David Moyes is pragmatic, right? That's the word. That's the key word. Will he change it up for the final? Probably not. But this is David Moyes has never won a trophy in his managerial career, right? A lot of these players, not all, but a lot of these players haven't won major trophies. I know we're going to talk later about players, a lot of them have, and a lot of them have played in big tournaments and things like that, more than we actually thought, actually. But for some of them, I think you said, was it the front 3 or 4 haven't played in any?
Yeah, I think there's the front 3 have not really played in a senior final of any, and we assume it's going to be Ben Rama, Bowen, and Antonio, right?
Yeah.
And and the only other one who hasn't played in a senior final is Cresswell. So it's interesting, but that doesn't mean all these players had their first final at one point, right? So
what I mean is, Gal, this is like a once in a lifetime thing for Moyes. You know, he may never get to another final again because he hasn't done before. A lot of them players, they may well have won trophies and things elsewhere, but this is massive for the club. This is massive for the fans. I'd like to say that we will go for it. And I'd like to say that you will see a different side of West Ham. But look, I'm not holding my breath. I don't want to be negative. I think it's going to be a boring game. I really do.
Define go for it, though. Do you think that Moyes is going to abandon what he's done so far and how he's kind of turned this season around, which is to go back to type, revert to type, right?
I don't expect us to have more possession than them, right? I'm not saying that. Right. Because even against Man United had more possession than us, but it was a different time. We played a different type of counter-attack. The transitions were quicker. We was playing through the lines quicker. It wasn't side to side. There was an energy. So I know we're a counter-attacking team, but this year we're just a counter team. We're not attacking with it well enough. We're just soaking up the pressure. Look, we've seen it all season. We know. So I'm not saying anything we don't already know, what we've already said, but we need to play the way we played against Man United and obviously when we came back against Arsenal, because we were counter-attack, but we played the best form of a counter-attack.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that because what it is, it's a counter attack with a cutting edge and getting bodies forward, right, to support the striker. And where you lose the will to live is when Antonio's up there on his own, right, and you're not getting players up to support. I think we might play like that for a while. But let's let's see what happens. I mean, honestly, I don't care how Moyes does it and how ugly it is. I don't care about winning in style. It's about winning the cup. And if we play horribly and lose, that's a different story. If we play horribly and win, I'm fine with that.
You don't give a monkey's, exactly.
Their fans are predicting a big win, 4-0, 5-0, all over their forums. Yeah, their manager
really 4-0, 5-0. Wow.
Yeah. Their manager is said he's going to do tactical fouls. Tactical fouls could play into our arms, couldn't it? Because we love a set piece, and if you're going to give away free kicks, they also love a set piece. By the way,
the thing I'd also say is that obviously the Italians and the Italian league back in the day, when I first started watching it, when David Platt and Paul Gascoigne went over there, I was bored to tears with Italian football. The Italians invented pragmatic football, right? So the thing is, if we play pragmatically against Fiorentina, they will be so used to it. It will be like playing a Serie A league game for them. They'll be used to it. We need to be something different, in fact. But we probably won't. Garino says here, and you did pick up on this before we come live, he said Fiorentina are strongest down the right wing, so the choice between Emerson and Cresswell will be key. Go on, Gal, what did you say?
That is the key. Everyone is saying that, and Hammers Chat was saying that earlier as well. I've seen this. Everyone picks up on this because you got Gonzalez against either Cresswell or Emerson, and I'll tell you what, I know. Emerson has got all of those trophies to his name and he's played in a lot of big finals, and Cresswell is one of the players who hasn't. But Cresswell has got a hell of a point to prove in this final. Also, Cresswell's positional play has been excellent of late. Also, Deck has been helping him out because he does lack pace. That is the one fault with Cresswell's game. He does lack pace, right? But that is absolutely pivotal, because if that goes wrong, say he plays Cresswell and then Gonzalez from the off starts steaming down the right, stripping Cresswell for pace and getting balls in, and they score, everyone's going to be pointing a finger at Cresswell.
I think he should start Emerson. If the danger's down the right with the pace, and we know Cresswell's lost a lot of his legs, he has to go with Emerson, doesn't he? And I think Emerson's impressed me defensively, to be fair.
Yeah, and Emerson is a big game player. I mean, we're gonna do this. I mean, we might as well do it now. Just go through it. When you talk about players who played in big games, honestly, this was really eye opening for me earlier when I looked through all these different players. Just amazing. Emerson Palmieri, 2 league titles in Brazil for Chelsea. He won the Champions League and the Europa League and the Super Cup. He won the European Championships with Italy, as we remember. He was runner-up in 2 FA Cups and 1 League Cup. And obviously a seasoned international. That's a guy who is
Italian international as well, remember?
Yeah, Italian international who's used to being very, very tight, right? Defensively. And he knows, I'm sure he knows, he's in no doubt what's needed to win a big game. So I am edging towards you on that one. I can see why we would do it. It would be just bloody horrible, wouldn't it? In a way, it would be more acceptable. None of it would be acceptable, but if you made the decision to play Emerson to cancel out the pace, you could understand the reasoning with that. Whereas if he plays Cresswell, that's going to be through loyalty more than anything else.
I don't think through loyalty. I think, let's be honest, Cresswell hasn't been bad since he's come back into the team, right? We know he's frailties, but the problem for me is that you're almost hanging Cresswell out to dry. If you know that the attack threat comes from the right and the geezer's going to have the legs on Cresswell, then why put Cresswell in it? Why give him the opportunity to make a balls up and almost like bloody, reinforce the mistakes he made last year in Europe when he obviously got pelters, you know what I mean? So for me, I know you can't protect footballers, but I think in this instance, by protecting Cresswell, you're actually giving us more of an opportunity to counteract their threat. So it's not protecting him; it's protecting us as a team. You got to look above that. Do you know what I mean? So loyalty needs to go out the window in that aspect.
Yeah, so looking at their players, their star players, they've got 5, right? And 2 of them are centre backs. That's Lucas Martinez, Quarta, and Milinkovic, who we know all about. Now, this doesn't really chime as that true because, you know, why are they the stars? Because defensively they look a bit rubbish. Nicolas Gonzalez is the right winger. He's the attacking star, and the defensive midfielder, obviously, the Declan Rice role, Sofiane Amrabat, who's a very, very good player.
He's a good player. He had a great
Yeah.
World Cup, I thought.
Yeah, top class. And the left back, Cristiano Baraghi. But apparently there's options to be made at fullback positions as well. So so again, I don't really buy that list of 5 players. I can see 2 of them, Amrabat and Gonzalez, definitely. So they are going to be a challenge. They're going to be a challenge for us. What do you think? What's your predicted team? I mean, I'll just tell you. Should we just go one player at a time?
Yeah, but the problem is I don't think we should do our predicted team because our predicted team will probably be exactly what we've seen recently. But we should probably do what we'd like to see. I think personally, a lot of it picks itself. I think for me, it's a good point here. Actually, where is it? Someone put a great point up here. This could be an option. You know, somebody said put Cresswell left and put Emerson in front of him instead of Benny. Is that quite defensive minded? But is it quite defensive minded though? I mean, I don't know. Would you say that's quite defensive minded?
Well, yeah, but it might be good for a half. You know, because it's all about the first half is about feeling each other out, and a few sorties forward. And the good thing about Cresswell playing in a more advanced position is he has got good ball delivery, hasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I there's not much I'd change. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty much what we've seen. Aguerd and Zuma at the back together. Cresswell and would you?
You don't think Kera's got a chance of playing instead of Aguerd?
No, I think I'd if I'm going to see Kera anywhere, I'd see him maybe right back. I like Aguerd and Zuma together. I know Aguerd's, people said he's been a bit shaky recently, but the guy's a seasoned international. He's played in World Cups. Yeah, he made a few ricks and that, but I think for me, I think you've got to play Aguerd and Zuma centre backs. If anything, put Kera right back. But the problem is he has made a few ricks at right back, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's been brilliant lately at right back. So we've actually got 2 really good right backs because before he got injured, Soufal was on top form as well, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so
true.
I think you've got to pick Soufal in this game because of where it is, and there's very little to choose between the players, right? If Kera was head and shoulders above him, I'd say Kera. And I don't think
midfield's going to be the obvious 3, isn't it? Rice, Paqueta, Souček. I mean, Souček was given the whole game off against Leicester, so he's definitely starting.
Yeah. And then up front, I think there is a choice to be made. You've already said it. Maybe Emerson on the left hand side. I can't see it in that formation, but maybe that's an option. Fornals is an option, but I think it's going to be Ben Rama on the left, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean Fornals. Fornals has been on a little bit of form, scored a couple of goals recently, but it just depends. I think Moyes still probably, if he wants someone to be defensive, what I'm saying is if he doesn't do the Emerson Cresswell thing and he knows that their right wing is the dangerous position on the pitch, he's probably more inclined to go with Fornals because he's played him as a defensive left winger more often than not, hasn't he, when he has played him? And he won't trust Benny. Moyes doesn't trust Benny to do the donkey work or the dirty work as much as he probably trusts Fornals, which I disagree with. I think we need to be a bit more attacking, and we need to have those players on the pitch that can win games. And Benny on his day can, if he just gets more consistent. So I think Moyes will possibly go with Fornals because he'll see the right wing as a problem or a danger.
Yeah, I think it's possible, and also because he will use Ben Rama. He will swap him out because he'll want Ben Rama for his penalty, won't he?
Yeah. Irish Tommy says, that's a good point here. He's a bit worried. Very nervous about Cresswell in this game against the better sides in Europe last season. He got found out. Great impression.
Well, he did. He got horribly found out for, against Lyon, was it? Or Seville? It was Lyon, wasn't it?
He got set. Yeah, he just had He had two moments of madness, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, the big question here in the chat is regarding Antonio. Richard Cap says, "Evening, gents, just tuned in. Do we think Moyes will play Antonio after the podcast?" Then we've got Craven Moorhead, who loves the Premiership. Antonio is supposedly being dropped after his podcast comments, and so he should. The guy is an embarrassment. Zahid Ali says, "Play Antonio instead for doing the podcast. Moyes has played him in every other position." What do you think regarding Antonio?
I think he's going to play. I don't think there's another choice other than to play him.
Exactly.
And Antonio knows that, which is why he can run his mouth off. He's not in danger of being dropped.
No.
Scamacca is nowhere to be seen. I think Garino said early on in the chat, and he said this is true, and that is it's already been agreed, and it will be announced after the game that he's joining an Italian team. And Scamacca. So I don't know how true that is. I don't know where Garino's got that information, but I don't expect. The main reason I don't expect to see Scamacca is because he ain't been training with the team, and Antonio has.
There's no way Scamacca's anywhere near match fit, right? And at the end of the day, Antonio will get away with this for this one-off game. And what we've got to do as fan bases, look, and I'm Antonio's biggest fan, but it took me by surprise that he would come out, not only say what he said, but the timing is absolutely fucking disgusting on the eve of our biggest, and he's one of the players who'll never play in a cup final of any ilk again, Gal. He's one of those players. But what I don't get about this whole scenario is that any other day of the week, if Scamacca was fit, Antonio would not be starting after what he said. If we had another striker available, he won't throw Movamba in. As much as we think he could and should, he won't throw Movamba in. He's a kid at the end of the day. It's easy to say throw him in, right? But what Antonio's done, dangerously ruining his legacy at West Ham.
Yeah, big time. But clearly he doesn't care about his legacy.
Well, but people will say, well, why should he care about his legacy? Why? What? He's got no loyalty to West Ham. But you'd think after 8-9 years of service, he'd have a little bit of loyalty to the club.
You would think so. But he has been, literally, I take this as him stamping his feet and making sure that he's going to get the move that he thinks he should have got in January, right? I know he was bumped down in the pecking order behind Scamacca, and that clearly played on his ego a bit. Then we signed Ings, and he's found his way. He's found his way back into the team, and he's done pretty well. Antonio, hasn't scored hatfuls of goals, but played some games outstandingly well. Some games pretty bad. I
just want to pick Trini Hammer up on here, who says, "Play Antonio. People getting in a spin because a player speaks the truth. Not sure what this world is coming to." Trini, mate. Yeah. I totally agree with you. Antonio hasn't said anything that none of us have already said this season. Yeah. If you watch us enough, Nick said it, Gary said it, I said it. Antonio is the best player he's the best striker for the way we play. Doesn't make him the best striker, right? But he's the best player for our style of play. So it's not what he said. That's irrelevant to me. It's the timing. He's one of our senior pros, right? Him, Oggy, even Rice. I know he's young, but he's, he's club captain. Noble's around the camp. Cresswell's in the camp. Fabianski, been around a long time. So how Antonio thinks this is going to go down well with anybody on the eve of this. And I've defended him. I've defended his right to do podcasts and all that, right? I get it these days. They do extracurricular activities. But at the end of the day, mate, as much as I love Antonio and I respect everything he's done for the club, his timing is fucking abysmal. Sorry.
Also, Trini, I don't know where you work or even if you work, right? But say you work in a normal company, right? Say there's someone in your work that you don't like, right? And there usually is someone you don't like very much at work, or you're not keen on, right? Or something like that, or you think someone's got a weakness, right? Perhaps you'd like to call in next week when Nick is doing the phone-in show and tell us all about your work colleague that you don't like and all their weaknesses and stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't do it. That's exactly what he's done, right? As well as insulting his boss, which is a ridiculous thing to do. I'd definitely be fired if I did that. Toussaint
Love says, apparently the podcast was recorded after the Arsenal game a few months ago. It's irrelevant. Antonio knows what he said in that podcast. He should be saying, lads, don't release it yet.
Yeah.
And he has enough control. you know, over this situation to have put a stop to this and waited until after the final. That's all I would have asked. That's all I would have asked.
No, completely right. He could have said what he liked next week. The other thing that he said that and again, don't want to dwell on this, but I'm going to dwell on it for a second, right? And that is, I don't play for a manager. I play for myself. The thing that really motivated me was when my wages were in danger of getting bumped down 50%. Honestly, that might be what you think. That might be the truth. Don't say it. God, what are you trying to do?
Damien D'Amico, you'd think after 8-9 years service, some of the fans, I've always sung Antonio's praises, and I will still sing Antonio's praises for the performances, for the one-man battering ram that he's been for us. He's ran through brick walls for us. I'll never take that away from him. He's our top Premier League goal scorer of all time. I get that. I love him. I respect the fact that he's come from non-league. Please understand me when I'm saying he should shut up and not be coming out and talking shit like this before the final. Can't you see that, please?
This ain't about respect for a player. We've on this channel, we have done nothing but back him, right?
Yeah.
But when
I'm still backing him.
Yeah, but I'd love him to score the winner on Wednesday. You know, brilliant, right? He always gives it his all in the game, from what I see, anyway, right? He always does. But when someone does something that we judge as being a little bit wrong, that's our opinion. We're giving it. You got your opinion. Trini has offered to come on next week and phone in the show and slag off one of his teammates. I look forward to that, Trini. So yeah, that'd be my fault. But anyway, look, I mean, we're all entitled to our opinions, you know. It's just that I think, you know, sometimes people try to cancel other people's opinions out or dismiss them by saying you're a hater or whatever.
KP, West Ham United's ill on the head. You try telling your boss he's a cunt.
Yeah.
Shit. I've done a nollie. You try telling your boss he's a CUNT and see how far you get, even if it's the truth. It's unprofessional. That I have to agree with.
Exactly right. And look, I don't know if you've noticed, but I come on these podcasts and I talk about West Ham. I never talk about what I do for a living, my work, or anything like that, because frankly, I'm not allowed to. Right?
MI5, you can't do it.
MI5 can't talk about it. But this is, you know, that's how restrictive it is in a lot of companies. So take that to another level, and you can actually go on. Not only are you going to talk about what you do, where you know, how you make a living, but you're going to talk about your boss and your teammates. You know, apparently, according to Antonio, it's just a job at the end of the day. Right?
Damien, mate, with all due respect, you've got a real bee in your bonnet about this, and so have I, quite rightly.
Yeah.
Where's the evidence of any negative impact, mate? A team of players, a squad of players, play together, train together. They see their players and their teammates more than they see their friends and family, probably, right? Yeah. They're like a band of brothers. Something like this, you cannot tell me that something like this could possibly not have a negative impact. I can't prove it, of course I can't. But are you telling me that even Scamacca will be looking at that thinking, I ain't going to go back and play with that idiot? You telling me that someone like Mark Noble won't be looking at that going, oh, Mickey, what are you doing that for? Yeah. It's obvious, isn't it? It's not going to have a positive impact, is it?
It is. And another thing as well, right? And that is that subliminally, right? We've all heard this. We've all heard these words, right, from Antonio. And you might choose to think, oh, shut up, Mikhail, you know, get on with it, right? But you can guarantee in the ground, say Scamacca play for us next year, and he don't run for a ball or he don't go hard enough into a tackle, people will be repeating what Antonio said.
Yeah.
He's not a fighter. He's got no fight. Look at him. You know, and all sorts of other stuff.
I do agree. I do agree with Alan here, right? And I said this to you in the chat when it came out. I don't think he said he wasn't a fighter. I think he said you need to be a fighter. So I sort of twisted it a little bit. I get what Alan's saying. I could look at that and say, if I was Scamacca, I could look at that and go, oh, you're saying I've got a bit more quality. I get that. Thanks a lot. Yeah. But the problem with it is it will and can always be misconstrued. It's a little bit of, you could see it as a backhanded compliment. At the end of the day, no matter how you word it, you will always have a little bit of negativity from some ranks.
Yeah. And he might have just been a bit sloppy and untidy with his words, right? He might have meant exactly what you just said. He might have meant it as a compliment. It's just the way he said it left enough ambiguity, right, that people could interpret how they wanted. Anyway, look, enough of Antonio. We've spent bloody ages on him. Talking about the game, going back to the game for a minute. Two things. Would you? Ariola's clearly going to start. I would definitely, if we're heading towards penalties, I would definitely swap over for Fabs with 5 minutes to go. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's a great option to have. How do you think, though? Areola this year has been our number 2 when a lot of people thought he'd be number 1, right? How do you think that would make Areola feel? Like if you was a keeper and you're proud of your role and you got faith in your ability.
Yeah.
How do you think it would make you feel being taken off because they think you're not good at penalties? I'm just like playing devil's advocate.
I've only seen him in one penalty competition, right?
Yeah.
That was against Blackburn. He never got near a single penalty. He conceded 10 without getting anywhere near the ball, and in most cases being sent the wrong way. Now, there were great penalties by Blackburn.
Well, exactly. You hit the nail on the head. There was great penalties.
Yeah, and probably he couldn't really do his homework against Blackburn because we're in the Championship and stuff like that. You don't see him very often, whatever. I don't know how they do it. By the way, did you hear this thing about someone said the other day, some keepers who have been really good at penalty saves in penalty shootouts, right? They've actually had their little crib notes written on the side of their water bottle.
Yeah, Thingy does it, doesn't he? Who had the penalty shootout very recently? Someone had loads of notes written on it. I can't remember who it was. But yeah, they do that on their bottles all the time.
I've never seen that. So what they said is the first thing a keeper should do is go in the goal, get hold of the bottle and throw it into the crowd. Take a yellow card. Take a yellow card.
Yeah, it's a good point from Hammers Mikey. This is a good point from Hammers Mikey. Areola's made us unbeaten all tournament, and denying him the chance in the shootout would be disgusting. I sort of agree, but again, this is where club over personal sort of pride. It's a bit of a juggling act, isn't it? Because look, we've seen it done many times before. We remember when Noble was brought on to take the penalty against Man United and missed it. So things can backfire. I just think if I was Areola, I'd probably see it as a bit of an insult.
Yeah,
let's be honest. We would.
I think you're right. I think you're right. In a final, definitely. And I think from what we're hearing now, Areola will be the number 1 next year, won't he?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting. Fabs will go cup. They reckon Fabs is going to go cup keeper, don't they?
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. That'd be good. That'd be good. He can save as many penalties as he likes.
Gary Wellington says, personally, because of Fab's age, we need to sign a new keeper. He's only 37. Yeah. Keepers go on forever. Papa Firth, I see what he did there. Areola would have done his own work. Think he deserves to stay in the sticks. I sort of agree. I get the theory. I'm just not sure it's fair. Trini Hammer, my friend. Areola tries to anticipate the penalty where Fabs waits a bit longer. I think there's, statistically, Fabs is a better keeper at penalties, but we haven't. I mean, how many penalties has Areola faced?
No, that's right. We've only seen him in one penalty shootout, I think. By the way, today I was looking around at videos that weren't West Ham led videos for previews of Fiorentina against West Ham, right? And I watched 2. One was really weird. It was like an AI simulation with this cartoon lady who claimed to have predicted recent games like Roma losing the final and whatever else. 4 massive games, predicted them all right. She went on to predict a 1-1 draw, go to penalties. Right. Next, I watched a FIFA 2023, the video game simulation. Yeah. Fucking draw, went to penalties.
Have they got that? Have they not got that crab type squid thing that they usually do about who's going to win the World Cup and all that? Have they done
No, but there was a turtle, right? And
was it Cresswell? Was it Cresswell?
The turtle. This is what I was watching today, right? The turtle chose West Ham as the winner.
Really?
Always liked turtles.
I've always loved turtles. I used to like putting them on their back when I was a kid and seeing them. Couldn't get up again, could they? I think in the chat, a lot of people are very much for Areola being given faith, and I think,
look, I'm fine with that. I think it's. I'm in 2 minds, honestly. Part of me wants to be a real bastard and say, look, it's all about winning, and part of me thinks, well, he has played every single game so far, so it's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Yeah, Garino says we need the best keeper for the 90 minutes, not pens. Worry about those in the last 10 minutes of extra time. Don't want fucking extra time, please.
We don't want extra time. We don't want pens. I'll tell you what. Looking at just a final word on Fiorentina.
Yeah,
I think looking at them, there's going to be plenty of times where we do break, and there's going to be sort of opportunities for one of our players, like a Bowen or a Paqueta or a Benrahma, to run and open them up. Right, there's going to be opportunities to do that. We do have to take our chances. We have to be really, really clinical. We have to get numbers forward. We have to defend really, really well, because they're going to play a high line against us, and they're gonna press, and we hate that. Especially Thomas Souček hates that. But we've got to break with intent and in numbers, and really try to win this game. My fear is that if we go behind, they're going to turn into a nasty Italian time-wasting bastard team, and we're never going to, pull the game back.
I think the thing that I've always noticed with West Ham in Europe over the last couple of seasons is we've still got that element of naivety, and a lot of the European teams we've played, even the lesser ones, they've played the ref better than us. They've wasted time better than us. They do shithousery stuff better than us.
Yes.
We're probably, and we've said it before, we don't want to cheat, of course not, but we're probably in some elements too nice, and we're too honest. And I'm not saying I want us to cheat, but I'm saying we've often had this problem in Europe where a lot of these European teams basically have just been better at game management, I think the phrase would be, rather than cheating.
Game management. But then you look at the Premier League stats for yellow and red cards. We are bottom of the table, no red cards.
Well, too nice.
And so I think 43 yellow cards in the whole season. It's just amazing, right? We are so fair. We're so fair. I just hope that because I think Garino said it in the chat, and that is, the manager said that he's going to do some tactical fouls. I hope the referee's listening, and I hope the referee's going to look out for that. And I hope if he's, if that sort of shit happens, that is worth a yellow card, right? Tactical fouls are worth a yellow card, because they're there for one reason. That's to stop the other team in their tracks.
That turtle you spoke about, he's right 70% of the time, says Gads.
Brilliant. I love that turtle. But anyway, that's where
Trini Hammer says, I don't want penalties. In my opinion, it's not a fair way to resolve a match. Maybe great to watch for the neutrals. How else would you end it, though? Golden goal? Just keep playing till someone scores?
No. I would just do a one-on-one from the halfway line. Right? Player versus keeper.
No. This ain't the MLS, Gary.
I love that. I love that scheme.
It's
fairer, though. It's fairer, though, John.
It's fairer.
It takes talent to get it past the keeper, right? The keeper's got a chance. I like it. Right, before we move off of this game, I just want to say, right, here are the players. This is our expected lineup, and this is what they've won. So, Soufal, 3 Czech titles, 1 Czech Cup. Areola, 4 league titles and 8 various cups. 1 La Liga, right? Aguerd, he's won cups and leagues in Morocco. Zuma won a League Cup in France, 2 Premier Leagues, a League Cup, a Champions League, a Super Cup, right? A few runners-up as well. Cresswell won nothing. He did win the Ipswich Player of the Year 2011, 2012, right? Declan Rice, Euro Championships runner-up. So he has played in the big final, which is great. Nations League 3rd place. Paqueta, he's won a Brazilian league title and a Copa America, not much. Souček, lots of Czech cups and titles. Benrahma, he won a Player of the Year for Brentford once.
He played in the playoff final, didn't he? But had a terrible game, didn't he?
It was rubbish.
That's when he was linked with us, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I watched that game expecting to have me socks blown off, and my socks stayed in place. Bowen, Player of the Year for Hull, Player of the Year for West Ham, and Antonio, he won the Football League trophy for Southampton, League One. So look, Antonio, Bowen, Benrahma, Cresswell. If Cresswell plays rather than Emerson, this is their big chance to get a bit of silverware, the first bit of silverware, right? It'd be brilliant. It'd be absolutely brilliant. Other than that, look on the bench. Kehrer is very well. He's got a shining record, a gleaming record of achievement. Angelo Ogbonna as well. Coppa Italia, 2 Serie A. Manuel Lanzini's 1 Serie A in Brazil, and he's won.
What are you saying? Yeah. You're just so like Cockney. You can't even do any accent.
Serie A, and he's won the Argentine Premier League as well. Yeah. So look, we've got a load of people who have played in massive games. That's what
we don't have
And
we have a
everyone's an
squad of
international.
seasoned. In the main, we have a squad of seasoned, international, experienced players. We ain't a team made up of people from the Dog and Duck and the Championship anymore. Let's be honest.
No.
They're all, Paqueta hasn't won a lot, but, playing in those South American qualifiers alone, some of them, you can imagine the pressure in some of them games, playing Uruguay or playing, against Argentina in qualification alone, with them people that are on you. These players have played in big games, but it's just whether or not they're allowed to play, isn't it? And that's the
forget the youngsters, right? Like Mabama and people like that. But just think about our senior squad. I mean, all of the squad who's going to be making up the team and the bench, right? There's only one player who's not an international yet. Who is that?
There's one player what?
Who's not an international yet. Who is that? Someone you'd consider a senior player.
Cresswell.
No, he got 3 England caps.
Oh, yeah, of course he did. Fucking hell. Jesus. Who've not got... I can't think. Go on.
Flynn Downs is the only one. Now, he's young. He's got time on his side, but he's the only one. Even Danny Ings got 3 England caps, right?
He did. Danny Ings did. David Nugent also got one. That's another story.
And when you look through this, Fornals, who's a Spanish international, he's got 6 caps. Scamacca's got 11 Italian caps. Not that all
Richard Cap. We don't want no negativity here, son. Moyes is never winning that unless he's got Viagra up his sleeve. We have to forget it. Cap, come and join the positivity, son. Yeah, we will win. I don't know how. We might have to shit ass it. It might be an own goal that wins us the game. But to be honest with you, this performance on Wednesday is fucking irrelevant. The relevance is lifting the trophy. That's it for me. It's 90 minutes or 120 if it goes extra time. But, for me, I don't care how we play as long as we win. Obviously, if we play shit and lose, I get that. It'll be fucking hell. But,
Yeah. It's I don't like reading things like that from Hammer Time at the bottom there. We have a team that can win, but a manager who can't. Well, that's up to Moyes to prove that he can, right? Sorry, lads, more Antonio negativity. Me and my son, he waited outside a bowl, didn't even wait, waving his arms, and the poor kid's got nothing. He's turned Antonio. He seems to have turned over the last couple of years from somebody who was happy-go-lucky, everyone thought was lovely, absolutely brilliant, into someone who thinks potentially that he's bigger than the club. That he's just like the main man, and I hate it. I hate to see it. I wish he'd just appreciate where he is rather than being the way he comes across.
The thing is if it's true that like people are going, oh, he's trying to push his move and all that, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Why does he think this is going to go down well? That's people are saying someone in the chat, and I've heard it the other day. Someone said that the club were aware of what he said in his podcast, apparently, and the club were aware of the podcast. Apparently, the club asked for the podcast to be released after the final, but the owner of the podcast released it early. Yeah. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Yeah. But the problem is with Mickey. Look, we've heard that he's going through some personal problems, some family issues at the minute, which we won't talk about. But it doesn't sit tight when you're slagging off whoever, your manager, your teammate, even if it was the fucking kit man. Wait, don't say nothing.
Exactly.
He's been thrown under the bus by whoever he did that podcast with. If that's the case, he's been thrown under the bus by one of those blokes who supposedly is a friend or a colleague or whatever they are. But
I think Damien, you said here that Hammers fans have been disrespecting him all year. I mean, look, that's nonsense. Inside the ground, I go to every home game and a lot of away games. I mean, I might have heard the odd stray voice. Have a go at Antonio. Everyone supports Antonio, pretty much. He gets 99% support.
Mate, I do. I agree. I've said it all season. He gets a lot of stick sometimes, a lot of shit for no reason. A lot of people don't see what he does off the ball. A lot of people undervalue what he does. We've seen Ings. Listen, it's purely because of the role system we play. You can see Danny Ings, a Premier League goal scorer, season in, season out, can't do what Antonio does for us. To some extent, Scamacca can't do what Antonio does for us. It's not because they're not better strikers. It's because they can't play that role that he does. So I'll always credit him for being an absolute workhorse and running through brick walls for us. And I agree, Damien. Some fans have been overly critical of him in the past, but we have to play. We have to be honest. We have to be fair and be devil's advocate. What he said is wrong. That's it. End of. Timing is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking at the Conference League appointments. I think it's a Spanish guy who's taking control, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we have referee Francois. Oh no. No, that was a semi. No, that was a semi-final. Hang on, where's the final? For God's sake!
I don't worry about it. Fuck it.
Anyway, there's a Spanish bloke who loves a yellow card. Apparently, like they all do in Europe. They love a yellow card, but then again, we don't get many yellow cards, so
no, we don't. We should be all right, but yeah, I'm not sure in Europe we have. But look. I don't care.
This is the referee is Spain's Carlos del Cerro Grande. So
great point here from Eamon. Just to go back at Damien D'Amico, we sing Antonio's name every home game, even after he got his shot. And even when they did that lap of appreciation, he walked around 50 yards ahead of the rest of the squad, and he was getting his own plaudits from the fans. So I didn't even think about that. But Eamon Green, you can come on again, son. Yeah. Good
That's
point.
What I'm saying. It's a football crowd, so you do get dissenting voices. You get the odd stray voice out of the blue who says something that you think, "Fuck, it's a bit out of order." But largely, the crowd are treating him well. Yeah, so he's 47 years old. Take charge of European competition final for the first time. It's his first final. Plenty of experience at the highest level of the game. Refereed the second leg of this season's UEFA Champions League quarterfinal between Inter Milan and Benfica. Assistant referees will be Del Cerro Grande's compatriots, more Spaniards, Pau Cebrian Devis, and Guadalupe Porres Ayuso. Another Spanish official, Jesus Gil Manzano, will be the fourth official. I didn't realise they did this in like country sets, right? And VAR and the assistant VAR will be Juan Martinez Munuero and Alejandro Jose Hernandez, completing the frontline officiating team. So,
Hernandez.
Yeah, I mean, out of them, they're all Spanish, apart from the VAR support, who is a Portugueser, Tiago Bruno Lopez Martin, whatever, right? But anyway, how did the Spanish get on with the Italians?
I don't know, if I'm honest with you. Everyone hates the English, don't they? We always say that. It just doesn't really matter.
I suppose so, yeah.
I'm only joking, obviously. Nick's off to bed. Nick just said, good night, everyone. Oh, I've got a long drive tomorrow. Oh.
He's driving to Trowbridge, and I said to him earlier, that's where our dad was born, because our nan was like put down there during the war, pregnant. Evacuated, that's the word, and that's where he was born. And he said that's near where Dodgy lives.
Damn, where Dodgy. I'm going to get a pathy. He's going to get a pasty. Apparently, Nick. The reason Nick ain't been on tonight, he's been training all night. His celebration for David Moyes if we win on Wednesday. There's Nick there celebrating there. I've always called Nick Jim Royal. He always looks like fucking Jim Royal to me. No, yeah, it's a long old drive, but he shouldn't be a wimp, innit? The thing is when I do these shows on a Sunday night, most Monday mornings I'm getting up at 5 every Monday, girl. So
you're a hero. That's why, John. You're a hero. You're made of,
Although today I went for a run this morning. Oh my God, I'm in agony now.
You done 3K?
Yeah, but I've done it quicker than ever. I'll push myself properly and I'll regret it. But anyway.
That's good, though. I had to stop running a couple of weeks ago. I was doing well. I was up to 6K. And then I got this horrible thing with my chest. I've had to stop. So hopefully I'll be able to run again next week. It's clearing up. Right, let's move on. We've got the remainder of the agenda. So Bowen's contract. Now, what's happening is they've drawn parallels between Bowen and Declan Rice. Declan Rice, to be clear, has got 1 year to go on his actual contract, and then we have a apparently unilateral right to extend that by 1 year. So there's 2 years left, right? I think the situation with Bowen is he's got 2 years left to run on his contract, and we don't have an option to extend. So what that means is if he stays another year, he will be in the last year of his contract and potentially be sold on a cut price deal. I think that's the situation,
and we don't want to go down that road, allowing him to go into the last year of his contract. His agent will be in his ear. Other clubs will be in his agent's ear. You don't want to go down. So Papa Firth says, July 2025,
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Bowen's contract's up. So 2 years. So really, you want to get it tied up this season at some point, don't you? Because going into the last year of their contracts, these players, and look, we can say as much as we like that Bowen will remain, and he's obviously going out with Danny Dyer and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he's going to put his family and his career first. And, we need to get him tied up, don't we? Because if you think about West Ham squad as it is now, as it stands now, Bowen is one of our top 5 most important players, right? Let's be honest about it. He's got to be, hasn't he?
Without a doubt, yeah.
He's up there. We know this season ain't been great for whatever reason, but, you got to get him tied up, didn't we? We can't let it go down to the last year.
He's improved, hasn't he? He's gone from, he had a terrible start to the season, but he's got better as the season's gone on. Hopefully he'll peak on Wednesday. But he has had some great performances of late. He hasn't been consistent, but he's had some great individual performances, and he's a fantastic player for us, and he's always likely to nick a goal or make a goal, isn't he?
Yeah, I think we don't have many match winners in our team, let's be honest, and he's definitely one of them. But yeah, he's come into form a bit lately. I mean, Wolf Central Gaming, unusual name. He says, don't need to worry about Bowen right now. No, not right now. But what I'm saying is we don't want it going to the end of next season and we still haven't got a contract drawn up.
Yeah, that's the point. That's Mr. Gaming, that's how it works, right? If it gets to the last year of his, if we leave it till next summer, he's in the last year of his contract. That means he can start talking to other clubs. Yeah, exactly. Right, legally, and we can't do anything about it, right? So we don't want that to happen. So let's sort him out a new contract now. Especially with Rice going, we want to protect all the good parts that we've got left. What else? So Deck going to Bayern. Like I said earlier, apparently there's going to be a bidding war. Please God, let there be a bidding war. Let it end up with him going to either Man City, because I won't care about it if he goes to Man City. To be honest, he's going to join the Galacticos if he does. If he goes, that's above our pay grade, isn't it? If he goes to Bayern Munich, even better, because that's like out of my hair, and I can, I think Nick said it the other day, I can then take an interest in his ongoing career. Whereas if he ended up at Arsenal, I would just make out he doesn't exist
until he scores against us at London Stadium. I think the thing is with Declan Rice, right? It must be quite difficult for him, right? Because he knows how much he's loved and admired by the fans, and he loves the club and he loves the fans. There must be an element of his mind thinking, Jesus, how am I going to play against these lot? How am I going to, it must be a very difficult thing when you love a club, as he clearly does, and a fan base. It must be a very odd thing to suddenly turn up and play against them, I think, right? Yeah. And I know people say he'll go to Arsenal and kiss the badge and all that shit. I don't think he will, right? I genuinely don't think he will. I hate Arsenal, as you all probably know, purely because of family reasons. And I would love it if he went abroad, because, as you said, it would be like, oh, thank God he can't turn up and have a worldie against us. You know what I mean? I'd hate that. Yeah. But if he were to go anywhere, for me, I think the best choices in this country anyway, got to be Liverpool or Newcastle for me. I don't think Arsenal are going to be, in my opinion, Arsenal had a massive opportunity to win that title this season, right? Yeah. They didn't have Europe either. They messed it up. You could say City come strong, whatever you want to say, 50-50, whatever. All the other teams are going to come strong. Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle invest. Man City will be Man City. Arsenal, I don't think Arsenal are going to be as, resilient as they were this season. I don't think they're going to win trophies. They're in Europe and all that. I genuinely don't think Arsenal's the club for him.
I'm with you. And what difference will he make to their team? As in, he'll give them a bit more steel in the middle. But to be honest, when they were firing well, which was most of the season, they had a lot of steel in the middle anyway, right? So all he's doing is kind of, he's not gonna add another 20% to that team, is he? Put it like that. It ain't gonna happen.
No.
And I agree. This season, expectation of the Arsenal fans, especially if they sign Declan Rice, expectation of those fans, will be progression, right? And it's going to be regression, because there's no way that Arsenal are going to finish second again.
I don't think so. Maybe that's hope more than if it was, but I genuinely don't think so. I mean, Arteta is a good manager. He could possibly be a great manager, but
can't stand him.
No, I know. I don't like his demeanour and all that, right? But I'm saying he's done well there. Let's be honest. He's done good. He's had an ethos that he's stuck to, and bringing in young players and all that. Now it's a different kettle of fish because they're in the Champions League. So now he does make players better. I agree. But the problem he's got now is he ain't got time because he's going to be fighting on two fronts, right? And now he's going to have to bring in bigger named established players. I mean, he only got Jesus and Zinchenko because Man City didn't want them anymore. They didn't go there.
That's right.
They didn't go there because they was desperate to play with Arteta. They went there because Guardiola allowed them. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and it will be Deck playing Champions League for the sake of playing Champions League.
Yeah, but I think
they're going to win it.
I think Nick was on a show the other night, and Luke Bailey, the French guy, French Luke. He was on there, and I think he's right to some extent. When players say they want to be challenging and playing and winning trophies, I do think there's an element of truth that players see playing Champions League in itself as a trophy almost. Just playing in the games. Yeah. But I don't think he's going to go there and win trophies, And I don't agree with Mr. Macy. I know you probably do, Gal. As soon as any player leaves West Ham, I couldn't give two fucks about them. I don't get that.
Typically, I do that, right? Because, for instance,
this is not typical. Rice isn't a typical player.
No. Typically, for instance, I'll give you Scott Parker Scott Parker. I thought was fucking brilliant for us. He was fantastic. Hammered a year 3 times. But when we went down, it's very quick, right? That a player can leave a bad taste in your mouth. We got relegated. He reluctantly played a couple of games in the Championship. I remember he scored a goal and he looked like someone had shot his dog, right? He looked miserable. He didn't even celebrate because he was pushing for a move to Tottenham of all teams, right? And I completely lost it with him. So then from that point on, no interest in you anymore, Scott. That's just one example. I did always love Joey Cole, and I was glad when he come back, right? I never wanted to see Chelsea do well, but especially against us. So certain players, I mean, Carrick got nothing against him.
Victor says here, Rice probably does love West Ham, but he won't care what fans think when it comes to picking his new club. No, he won't. He'll pick the club just right for him, of course. He's got a young family as well. I get that, and he's a London lad or a Surrey lad or whatever. I think his choices are becoming more limited because Chelsea are after Kovacic. Man City are going after Kovacic from Chelsea because he's in the last year of his contract, apparently. What's his name? McAllister. He's going Liverpool, isn't he not? I think he's going Liverpool. So his choices are becoming quite limited, and I think Newcastle would be the team to go to because I think they're going to win trophies.
For me though, I don't know. I don't know. I think it depends how a player leaves, right? For me, that's what I tried to say in a ham-fisted way. I didn't like the way, for instance, Frank Lampard left, Scott Parker left, to a point the way, even though it wasn't Rio's fault, I never really held that against him. Defoe didn't like the way he left. I thought he was a spoiled brat. I think he was like Scott Parker in trying to force his way out. Got sent off a load of times in the Championship, didn't he? But then you got other players who leave with their head held high and a pat on the back and say thanks for your service, like Craig Dawson, who was mentioned in the chat, right? Brilliant. He was a cult hero and always will be, right? And Declan Rice, he's got a chance if he moves to somewhere like Bayern Munich. If he lets the due process take its course, and him and his dad support not necessarily the highest bidder, but one of the highest bidders, and he doesn't force through a move for a cut price to Arsenal, which was being rumoured earlier in the week. If he did that, I would have no time for him whatsoever. Let me say that. Not an ounce of time. But I hope he doesn't do that. I want him to leave with his first trophy. I want him to go on and have a glittering career somewhere where I don't have to watch him every week. And I want to wish him the best of luck. Do you think if he won the trophy and left, people would be more appreciative? Obviously, would that be an obvious statement to make? Well, yeah, definitely. I'd say so. But I'm never going to do this thing where you just say, "Oh, we're only little like West Ham." We've got to take it on the chin. I'm not like that. But you say that, and I've heard you say it before, and I sort of think because of our history,
in my history, in my lifetime, we are little old West Ham to some extent. And
Yeah, but
it's
I
not,
don't
it's
think
not
of us
because,
like that.
yeah, no, Gal, but I don't mean it like that. I'm not saying
Yeah.
I think we're little old West Ham, but our history, or my history as a West Ham fan, would tell me that we are. We seem to have rotten luck. We seem to not win nothing. We seem to, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying we are, but if you look at it on paper, we probably are a little bit. I know we're not a huge fan base and all that. I get that.
I know we did this thing to death about whether West Ham are a big club or not, and I think we are. I think we're the what was that? What was that league table saying? How rich a club we are, and people. It was published on the Facebook group, and we were bottom of the table. We were worth over $1 billion, and we're only $1 billion behind the likes of Arsenal, I think, or Tottenham. I can't remember what it was. And someone said this has got to be false. We don't even own our own ground. Well, no, we don't. But that's a massive advantage when you're talking about overheads. You know, we pay a couple of million a year for that stadium, and includes all the bloody security and everything. So yes, our ticket prices are low, ticket revenue is lower, but you know, there's a lot more on the ground making up your assets. There's training grounds, there's players, there's all sorts of stuff, and I can believe that. And the West Ham brand, it's a different brand now. It's not the old brand, and it has gone a different way. I'm not saying I like it, but it is a bigger, more global brand. It's quite a successful brand as well, and we have shown that we kind of belong in Europe. And if you look at some of those big games in Europe and you watch them back on telly, you know, after going to it, you think, bloody hell, even the stadium looks brilliant.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt what we can become, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is we need to maintain it, and we need to push on.
Yeah.
We need to push on, and to not go over the whole Moyes out scenario. This is what a lot of people are missing. I've seen a lot of people on other websites and other, you know, we've got our own Facebook group, and there's other Facebook group. And when someone says Moyes has to go, win or lose this trophy, people go nuts.
Yeah.
And I don't get it, because you should see it as he's done a good job. I'll always defend him, but imagine winning a trophy and going out at the top. You know, we've always stuck to our guns with that. You know, we want him to win the trophy and then leave West Ham on a high. You know, I don't get it. Can I just say
something? We've got to change. You know, last week I was chatting with Nigel, and Nigel sees us as West Ham version 1 in the old stadium. West Ham version 2 here. It's like a different club, right? Julian Dix, I watched his interview on the Hammers chat, and I've got to say, you know, I love Julian. I could listen to him all day. He's got some good opinions and stuff like that. But he said it over and over again, and it was grating on me that West Ham are just a yo-yo club. Or not just a yo-yo club, West Ham are a yo-yo club. We stopped being a yo-yo club years ago. We cannot expect to be a yo-yo club. Now we are West Ham version 2 in that fucking great big ground after giving away our home. That is not expected to be a yo-yo club anymore. So don't, you know, be like Martin Allen. I heard him in some sort of interview going, oh, bloody hell, the fans have disrespected David Moyes because, you know, it was terrible. It was at Fulham and there was like a Moyes out banner. Well, I was there. There was like one Moyes out banner, maybe 2. I don't know. What do you want? We were upset. We were down. We were in the bottom 3. We won the game with it.
I think I looked up when you said about that. We're not a yo-yo club, because I looked up a statistic.
No, we're not.
I think we've spent the 5th or 6th most seasons in the Premier League, not consecutively, but I think of the current teams in the Premier League, we're 5th or 6th up on the amount of years we've played in the Premier League or the Premiership.
Exactly. And look at when you're talking about things. Chris Lockwood's just said it here: 62,500 most weeks. That is with 0 success, Chris. 0 success, right?
But this is what I'm saying. Imagine what we could become.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Enormous. But this is the thing with the people in the media who say, careful what you wish for. Like Gary Lineker, who, you know, you had Stan Collymore coming out and saying, West Ham, if you want to progress, you've got to get rid of him. I agree with Stan for the second time in 3 weeks. Second time in 3 weeks, I agree with him. So Lineker's sitting there, careful what you wish for. Don't, because in Lineker's mind, we are little old West Ham, that yo-yo club. This is all you deserve. Know your place, you know, respect it. No, I'm not going to know my place, not going to respect it. Going back to the topic, right, about Dix, that interview. He called us a yo-yo club a few times, which I wish he'd stop doing. I'll sit there saying, please stop saying that, Julian. Then he said he really disliked the ground. And then, because he was assistant manager when we moved there, wasn't he? And then later on in the interview, he said West Ham can attract the biggest players because of the ground.
Right? I don't think it's solely the ground. You have to be in a major European
because of
competition these
the
days.
massive stadium. That's what he said. Because of the massive stadium, right? So it can't. It's either one thing or the other. I suppose he don't like it, but it's an attraction, right? And also another thing I didn't like about the interview. I like the rest of it, by the way. But another thing I didn't like about the interview is early on he really dismissed the Conference League as a Mickey Mouse competition, and I hated that. Right.
No, listen. A lot of people have called it that this season. You and I haven't. We've always said, win it, win it, win it. Let's be honest. He's not on the show tonight, but I can say it. He'll probably watch it tomorrow. But Nick dismissed this competition all the way through, right?
Yeah.
For whatever his reasons. Maybe it was the fear of relegation. I get it, right?
Yeah.
But I've always wanted to win this trophy. I'll never take. You cannot look at. Nigel was right when he said this is like the new version of the Cup Winners' Cup, which was then seen as the third-rate European competition. It's just because this competition's in its infancy doesn't mean in 4, 5, 6 years' time it won't be held with the same esteem as a lot of the others.
Absolutely
Who would not want to win a European competition?
No, absolutely right. And look, this is not a dig at Julian Dix. I love Julian Dix, right?
No.
We all love Julian Dix.
You would say it to his face, though, would you?
I wouldn't say it to his face. No, he'd kill me, right? He'd give me a knee-eye tackle and take me out.
Yeah,
but that aside, I disagreed with what Martin Allen said as well. I don't agree with everything people say, and these are just a couple of things I picked out. I agree with everything else, and I love hearing his stories, right? So it was a good interview. Go and watch it. So that aside, right? If we look at Moyes, the Moyes situation, this week, and I did comment on the show I did the other day about Moyes maybe deserving a new contract, and that's what. And again, to clarify, it was said that, and again, this was on. I think this was Gio. Yeah, it was, where he said he still wants Moyes out, but he understands that if we win, he thinks that if we win the cup, Moyes will deserve a new contract. Now, I don't think those two things go hand in hand. So let me be very clear. I don't think that I can adjust to that way of thinking, because I don't think one game makes him deserve a contract renewal. But that's apparently, and that is the way it looks like Sullivan's thinking as well.
Would it not be better? Sorry, Dale. Would it not be better all round for the employer and the employee to part ways on, let's hope, on a high? Yeah. What is the point of having this? And people have dug me out for this comment before. We have had relative success under Moyes, and people go, "We ain't won nothing." We know, but we've had relative success with our league finishes, etc., right? Why would he not want to win this trophy and leave with his head held high? Why win it and risk? Because it happens to most managers. Risk the possibility of being sacked before December, and everything that's gone before him is almost been eradicated. Yeah. Win the trophy, go out on a high with your head held high, and then go and get a job. I don't know, if Tottenham get Postecoglou, he could go and take over at Celtic.
He can win loads of trophies up there, and they go with our best wishes, and he'd be brilliant. I mean, I won't go this far. I did hear another comment today. Can't remember which show it was on, but again, it was a statement that came out and said something like, "I don't care what you say. If he wins this trophy, he sits alongside Lyle and Greenwood." Well, he doesn't, does he? He doesn't. That's without you considering the history and the achievements, not only statistically winning a cup, the history and the achievements of those managers. I mean, Ron Greenwood created the modern West Ham, right?
Yes. On paper, that comment is probably right, but in reality, it's not.
Statistically, he would have won a cup like the other two, but that's where the similarity ends, right?
Yeah, and I love what Moyes has done, right?
Yeah,
in Europe, and some great memories and some great nights, but there's no getting away from the fact that the football this season has been dire, and even against Alkmaar, we were shit. It was boring. We were lucky to some extent, and it's. I don't want to kick him while he's down, but I just want him to go out of the cup. And for these people, I mean, I was accused of being a flip-flop when I was Moyes in, and then after the Palace game in December, I went, I've had enough now, he's got to go. But I will never go back to saying he should stay now, because it's long, that's long gone. I want him to win on Wednesday. I want the club to win on Wednesday, and I want the fucking ownership and the manager to get together. And even if it isn't amicable, sell it in the press, whether you have to give him a payoff or not, and say, look, let's call it amicable. Thanks, Dave. And he'll ride off into the sunset. And to some, not all, but to some, he'll be a little bit of a hero for what he's done for us.
Yeah.
If he wins it and stays and gets sacked in October, he will ruin everything.
Right, I've got a difficult question for everybody in the chat and everyone that's watching. There's 351 people watching. Many of you are in the chat, and it's a question for you as well, John. So, based on that conversation we just had, if you were to rank, now this is assuming David Moyes wins the trophy on Wednesday, right? So he becomes the third manager ever to win a trophy for West Ham. That statistic cannot be denied. I agree, right? But where would you? And this is from a subjective measure, right? This is your belief, what you think, right?
Yeah.
And everyone's entitled to what they believe. You ain't got to be false to someone else. So we'll take it as read that Greenwood's number one, Lyle's number two, because that's the way it should be, right? We won't go back any further than that to Ted Fenton or everyone, because none of us are old enough to remember it. But maybe some people in the chat are, but I'm not. Right. So there are other managers, right? There was Allardyce, Redknapp, Pardew, Pellegrini, Zola, Bilic in our recent memory. Where would you position what number in that ranking list behind number 1 and 2, Lyle and Greenwood?
So from 3 onwards.
From 3 onwards, where would you position David Moyes if he wins on Wednesday and leaves? Yeah.
I'd still have Redknapp ahead of him. I'd have Redknapp number 3 because it was enjoyable and it was good football. And then I'd probably have Bilic in him as a bit of a tie. I'd be hard to separate Bilic with Moyes.
So you'd have a joint 4th.
Yeah. I'd put him 4th. And people in the chat, look, Victor Fenn says 3rd. So he'd be Victor's put him the best of the rest, if you know what I mean. Yeah. There's a few 4s. Everyone's sort of saying 4s, 5s. Yeah. I liked Redknapp. Probably with Redknapp, it's the likability factor over everything else. He had a great charisma, great personality. We played some good football. We had some mavericks at the time, such as Di Canio, etc. So I'd put him 3rd, and I'd probably have Moyes 4th, but Bilic, for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, what Bilic delivered in that one season, it all went a bit tits up afterwards. But what he did in that one season was out of this world, right? Yeah.
But there was a lot going for him. It was the romanticism of being the last season at Upton Park. Pyatt was unreal, and he could not have wrote a lot of that script better in a Hollywood movie if you tried. It all worked out perfectly in the end. And he was partly to do with that. Of course he was. Bilic was great, and just shame how he ended up. But begrudgingly, 4th Moyes, and Bilic probably 5th.
Right, I would probably I'm struggling. I'm not going to put Bilic above him because Bilic weren't here long enough, and there was a fantastic season. But I would definitely have Redknapp in number 3 because, like you explained it really well. It was entertaining. That was fun to go and watch football most of the time with Redknapp, wasn't it? We weren't very good away from home, but we were brilliant at home, and we had some really good times and some great players to watch. Probably many of the highlights of my West Ham watching career, right? Then I would say I'm in an R, and it's a choice between Bilic and Moyes. I'm between Pardew and Moyes because I think Pardew gave us 2 playoff finals. Right, he came in when we were in the shit. He gave us 2 playoff finals. We got promoted. We tore that league up, right, when we got promoted, and then we got to the FA Cup final, and we were seconds away from winning it. Then it all went wrong the following season, right? So, in a way, and he got sent to Europe. We didn't do well.
Players' wives, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's where I think he starts to fall down. He's a vulnerable character, isn't he? He's not. So yeah, I listen. I'm gonna be kind and say if he was to leave after winning the game on Wednesday, I'm gonna put Moyes in number 4 behind Redknapp.
Yeah.
I wonder where Nick could put him.
Nick wouldn't even have him on the list. Nick
could have him number 7, wouldn't
he? Nick would have Abraham Grant above Moyes.
Yeah.
And then any other caretaker manager or anyone else who have in charge. No, look, it's interesting because you're all going to have your own memories and all that. And I'm putting Redknapp 3rd based on purely on entertainment factor. That's sometimes the entertainment far outweighs the fact that they haven't won nothing. You know.
I agree.
You know what I mean? And because that's that's what we've been like as a West Ham fan. You know, that's again, we're not used to winning anything, so winning anything is irrelevant to some extent for someone like me. So it's always been style, which is why I then fell in love with Moyes, because I started looking, thinking, bloody hell, we're going far in Europe, we're pushing up the league. It's why I started really buying into Moyes, and unfortunately, he's let himself down, and probably a lot of fans as well. But Irish Tommy says, what's he say here? Big Irish Tommy, the big T dog. Virgil, that's true about Bilic in the 15-16 season, but equally the 16-17 season with the move and Payet causing problems was an impossible season for him. Sorry, is that? Should I be doing
Did I tell you he nearly ran me over in his yellow Lamborghini?
Oh, Boots, Irish Tommy.
Payet. Yeah, it weren't Tommy. He weren't Tommy. He's got
Irish Tommy had a yellow Lamborghini.
Yeah. It was just after we moved in, like a couple of games in, we lost the home game, and there was a yellow Lamborghini with French number plates. It nearly run me over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, over in Hackney Wick. He was getting away from getting out of Dodge sharpish. He was.
Funny you should say that. After the last home game of the season against, who did we play? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Who did we play last home game of the season? Leeds. No. I've gone brain dead. Can't remember. Anyway, was coming out, and there was a camouflaged Lamborghini, and my boy was like, "That's definitely a footballer." It was bloody Cornet sitting in traffic in a camouflaged Lamborghini. I've never seen anything like it. But he was nice enough to wind the window down and have a photo done, and it's probably the most I've seen him all season, really.
I mean, I read something today that I don't know if it's Lamborghinis, but you know, Antonio's had his problems with Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
Apparently, he was told to stop driving a certain type of car, and it would help with his hamstring trouble.
Oh, really?
So,
probably too low
Lamborghinis. Bailey Taylor. I'm Mark Taylor's nephew, not the Mark Taylor. Yeah, I know Mark.
No, that's Mark Taylor from Mile End, mate.
Yeah. Would you start Antonio after his comments about Scamacca?
Yeah, we've got no choice. We've got no choice, Bailey.
Don't think choice. Priority number one, win the game. Sorry, you're on comments. Right. Two more things to talk about. Right. We're going to end on something good, but we'll start on something not so good. Orange kit price tripled.
Woo.
John.
Well, the orange top went down in the sale to like 25, 26, 27 quid. But when it was decided that, I don't know how they decided it, because I mean, Fiorentina are wearing orange, didn't they? So we could have won. Well, no, we couldn't have won a home kit. Fiorentina wear purple, I mean, sorry. So the orange kit has suddenly gone up to 80 notes, hasn't it? If you look to buy the orange kit now, it's 80 quid, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you don't want to buy the old kit, but a shirt, I think, is 60 odd, isn't it? And it's got the thing in the middle saying it's the Conference League final shirt and everything else.
Taking the piss, though, isn't it?
Slightly different product, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's still taking the piss, girl.
And they've bumped up the prices of the home shirts, and they're not going to be worn anymore. They've bumped them back up just for this week, I think, to 65 quid.
Keith Knight says, apparently, what you're talking about, the embroidery on the orange kit is fucking awful too.
Is it terrible? Did you buy one, Keith?
Someone gave Freddie his orange kit. You remember AD Hammer?
Yeah.
AD Hammer. He ordered the kit and he got sent two about 6 months ago. And he said to me, how old's your boy? When it will fit him. So we've got the orange kit. We've had it all season. Yeah. So
Michael Levy says, what question is it? Is it the favourite manager? Yeah, it's about what you think. Yeah, where would you put Moyes in? Exactly. Where would you put David Moyes in your ranking list of managers that you can remember in your lifetime? Well, you got to have Greenwood, and the only rules are you got to have Greenwood and Lyle at number 1 and 2. After that, where would you put Moyes? Your choice.
Yeah, Toussaint Love. Unfair we have to play in the third kit. They get their home kit. I love the third kit. I know I'm a small minority, but I really do like it.
Yeah. Plus, I'm not being funny, right? We won the FA Cup in our away kit. Well, it wasn't our full away kit. It was our home shorts. It was our home shorts in 1980, right? In 1976 against Anderlecht, if I remember, that was the first outing of that kind of V's shirt, right? Our home shirt that we wore until 1981. Yeah. So that was so we played in our home kit in that European final, and now we're playing in our away kit or third kit. So I'm not against it from that perspective. I think we're more successful.
It could be a bit of luck with it. You mean?
Yeah.
Talking of kits, sorry, Gal. Earlier on, just before we came on somebody put what is supposedly our new home kit for the new season. They put that up.
Yeah.
I think it was on a Facebook group that I clawed it off of. But that looks. You said it looks like Aston Villa kit, didn't you?
It does look like Aston Villa kit. Yeah, it's not that. It doesn't get your juices flowing. Thanks, Damien, by the way. Thanks for the
Could be a mock-up. I mean, it could
Appreciate
be fake people, but I'm just,
Well,
putting it on there.
It could be a Chinese one, couldn't it?
Could be a fake one.
You know those Chinese
he
ones.
loves it. He sent us a tenner for hating Antonio. No one hates Antonio on this show, Damien. Cheers, pal.
Cheers, Damien.
Pal.
Yeah.
We should be wearing traditional black kit in the final. I wonder why.
Sinister.
You can't have black and purple. Their kit's purple. Is it quite a clash? Did you tell them the story about how Fiorentina got their colour kit, Gal? Your very interesting story.
It's really interesting, this. Make sure you're listening. Back in 1929, I think, they were donated a kit and they put it in the wash. It was a red kit. It was put in with another colour and it came out purple. So it was a mistake of the washing machine, right? It came out purple just because the colours run, and they've stayed with purple ever since.
Moral to that story: always let your wife do the washing.
Yeah, and always sort your colours out. It's not as good as the one where I think Juventus playing stripes because they were donated a kit by Notts County back in the day, right?
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
I've
heard that one. That's old school. Yeah, I don't disagree. Yeah. Apparently, the team regards the Holland away kit as a lucky kit.
Good. And listen, psychologically, if that's what they're thinking, I'm all in favour of it. That is absolutely fine, right? The only thing that offended me a little bit was the club's explanation of the design of the kit, saying it's.
I don't know why, though. It makes utter sense, Gal.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. If you didn't hear it, it's about the
flames from the furnace.
The sparks from the furnace in the old Thames Ironworks forge.
It makes total sense. If that is a credible story, well, that's because you're boring. You don't like change. Claret and blue only. Thank you.
Right. The final item that we're going to talk about is a potential, because it looks like this is going to happen. Believe it or not, it looks like Sully is going to appoint a director of football. Right now, the director of football. I'll be against it unless he's a proper director of football, because director of football does a couple of things, right? They take control of the all of the ins and outs, all of the transfer dealings and everything else, right? But they are the go-between between the manager and the board. That's another thing they do. But also they're required to set the strategy, the football strategy, and they expect the manager or the coach, as the manager will become, to deliver a team that plays that way according to the director of football's desires, right? Yeah. And this guy that's been put forward, mentioned in several places today and yesterday, is Paul Mitchell from Monaco, and he's apparently Mark Noble's mate. Yeah,
apparently they're friends somewhere along the line. Yeah, don't really know much about him, if I'm honest, but he's fairly young. He's only like early 40s. He had a quite average football career, and I mean that respectfully. He played for Wigan and teams like that, but yeah, apparently he's done really well in this role. I think he did a bit for Spurs as well in the past and things like that. Yeah. So, for a young Englishman to be over in Monaco picking players up and all that, he must be quite well thought of anyway.
Does he know the other bloke? What's his name? The manager that's over there, the West Ham supporter.
Oh, Will Still.
Yeah, even though
he's just signed a new contract. He's just signed a contract extension. Yeah. Obviously, he'd probably have his badges by next season, so they won't be getting fined anymore, will they? So
is he back on the boil again? Because he went off the boil, didn't he?
Hit and miss, innit, I suppose. I haven't really looked at him since the story's gone a bit cold. I haven't really paid too much attention, but I saw it on Sky Sports News yesterday, I think, that he has signed a new deal. So, yeah, good luck to him. He's only 30, isn't he? It's ain't ridiculous.
But I think if that's true, the director of football, I think that is probably a reason why David Moyes will leave, like he's being rumoured today a lot, is that he will just walk because his mate, the head scout, what's his name?
Newman.
Chief Newman, he's going to be shown the door.
Really?
Yeah, and that is Moyes' choice, right? He's the one that brought him in. And also the director of football will not work for Moyes. Moyes will work for the director of football. That is going to rub Dave up the wrong way.
What was that story I read the other day when it came out that apparently Sullivan was going to employ himself as director of football?
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that.
Story?
No, I think that's something Nick put in WhatsApp. I think he was winding you up.
Oh, was it? Oh, fucking mug.
Did he play for us, Paul Mitchell, one of the Mitchell brothers?
No, I don't think he did. Not that I'm aware of. I thought he played for Wigan and sort of like League One type teams.
Okay. And Rob Newman will go back to Norwich. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe he will.
Maybe. And this guy is 41, so
it's not the same Paul Mitchell that Victor's talking about. Because this guy is 41. That's what I said. Yeah. If you listen, Victor, you would have heard his age. Yeah.
Yeah, Victor. Right. And this and a final thing from this guy's 41. Damien has said he's paid a tenner, so he can have his say, right? How can you sack a manager who took us from relegation candidates to the European final?
Not sacking. No. Amicably departing. That's
an amicable divorce. That's what it should be.
I agree with you, like sacking him. But what I'm saying is, Moyes, don't commit professional suicide. Win the trophy, leave with your head held high. That's what I'm saying. I don't want him to sack him. I want it to be amicable. Nice. Trophy, thank you.
And it would be a beautiful thing for people like me.
Imagine winning that. Look, imagine winning that beautiful trophy, you know? Look.
For people like me and John and Nick, especially Nick, people who have really lost faith in Moyes and want to see him go. If he was to leave of his own accord, amicably after winning the trophy, it would be the most fantastic thing, because we could just remember him with affection, right? And say what a great period, and we won't forget the horrors of this season. But at the same time, when you look at it in the whole, you sort of say he had a good stay. He achieved a lot, right?
Yeah. Have you seen some of the chants going about for Paqueta, Gal?
I have.
There's some great ones in there.
What is it? I sold my car to Lucas Paqueta.
You got this one. I just sold my car to Lucas Paqueta. I think that's brilliant. But the one you found, or it might have been Nick actually earlier. This is also a good one. 2 pints of lager and a Paqueta of crisps. Well, that's not a chant, but they're great. They're great. Love a bit of banter.
Heading out to Prague with that one, I would imagine.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, when are you flying out?
I'm flying out on Tuesday about two. No. That's about. I don't know. Look, I'm getting there at midnight.
So we won't see you now till you're at the final, really, will we?
What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play around with these little shorts that you do on YouTube. So because I'll be in the fan zone, it'll probably be quite a few things to video and stuff like that. Yeah, so I'll make a few shorts. So, there's going to be a lot of people on there with as well. Hopefully there'll be some good stuff and some emotional scenes when we win the trophy and all that. And look, let's just make it happen, please, because this would be such a beautiful end to a really troublesome season. And we're overdue, aren't we? We're overdue. And more than us, wouldn't it be nice if the kids could see us win a trophy?
Oh, mate, my your boys, my boy, Freddie.
Yeah,
Nick's kids and everyone else who's watching, kids and grandkids, the kids love West Ham as much as we do. So I never got to see it. I remember us losing in FA Cup finals and Villa Park. I was there as an 11-year-old and all that. Yeah. These memories of failure, I suppose, even though they were failure, they still stick with me as good days in a funny way. The Liverpool FA Cup final was a great occasion. We lost, and I still refer to it as one of my best days. Strange, isn't it? So I can only imagine what it's like to win something.
And look, no matter where you lot out there are watching this game, whether you're in a fan zone over the O2 at the Orbit, going to Prague and standing in the fan zone, or lucky enough to be inside the stadium, I hope you have a fantastic time. And it's a night to remember for the right reasons.
Let's hope so.
We got anything else, or are we done?
I think we're done, mate. I think we're done. There's no phone calls because we ain't got a phone call thing today. So, sorry, people, if you wanted to call in, I'm sure Gary from Romford is going nuts now. But
he's probably calling Nick. He's probably calling Nick, isn't he?
Probably calling. Nick's in bed going nuts. I can imagine Nick going mental. Fucking phone's winging. I bet people are winging the number because a lot of people have got his number saved, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's Tommy say? Tommy's back. I won't do his Irish accent this time. Virgil, the black kit is our most traditional colour. Would be great to win it wearing the Thames Ironworks strip. Yeah, I do like. We ain't got a black kit this year, though, have we? That's the problem, I suppose. But yeah, I did like the black kit when it was out. Yeah. No, we have got the black kit with the funny sleeves, didn't we?
Yeah, I liked it as well. Yeah, I always like black. Yeah.
Mr. Mace says, if we win, I'm dancing around that main square bollock naked. Well, luckily for you, Mace, there's a lot of people there that will happily take you in naked. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So,
but yeah, look, thanks for your time tonight. Thank you all for joining. Thanks for all your comments. Let's have a brilliant week, and we will be in touch hopefully after this successful cup final to talk about our next big show, which will be the outside broadcast in Andy Miles's bar. We're going to take Nigel along, have loads of drinks, and we're going to do the end of season awards.
Yeah,
it won't be serious, obviously, but it'll be good. It'll be good.
Should be good.
It'll be many hours of getting very, very drunk.
Yeah, me and Nick will probably do a couple of shows before Wednesday through excitement. But yeah, look, Gal, have a great trip. Have a safe trip. Everyone else who's going out there, I hope you come back with the gravy. Yeah, and make it all
cheers,
worthwhile.
John. And thank you, everybody in the chat as well. Safe travels to all of you that are going, and hopefully see some of you out there. See you soon.
Come on, you
wines.